Are you ready? Can crush us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody, power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah. Can Crushers. Yeah. Can Crushers, let's go.
Good evening, good afternoon, good night, and welcome to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mark the Mark. A little shout out on that intro to our good friend, Glenn Ralph from the Glenn Ralph Show. Glenn, I promise I won't do it again. I'll go back to, and welcome back to Can Crushers. Guys, this episode with Vette Addams is going to be super emotional. Came across her on Instagram just a couple days. Legitimately, this has been in the work less than a week, and this is so inspiring, inspirational, hard-hitting. Be prepared. Be prepared. I'm 45 in a couple weeks, and when I heard her story, I cried. And I stopped it kind of halfway through, so I don't know the complete story, but I want to know all of it, and I want to keep it fresh and real for you guys on here. It's unbelievable. It's unfreaking believable. So we'll get to Vette Addams here from Deep South Professional Wrestling in Georgia. Yeah, how about that? The Deep South. I'm excited about that. We'll talk a little bit about that with Vette as well. And then there's a huge announcement she has. If you follow Deep South, you know what it is. But if you're in Georgia, in and around that area, man, you have something special coming up this weekend. And if you don't take advantage of it, you're a fool. You're a fool. Yeah. So we'll be talking to Vette Addams here in a quick second. But you know the rest we have to do. We are on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all those social medias. We also are on Buy Me a Coffee. You can donate to the show there as well. All of it's at CanCrusher69. Make sure you like and follow and interact with us there. CanCrusher69@gmail.com. That's our email. Drop us a note. Tell us how much of an idiot we are, or, whatever. Because we have the weekly show where we do our wrap-ups, how much you love the spotlights, anything like that. We'll get you on the show as well. And don't forget to check out Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all of those ones that have the old podcasting hosts. Make sure you like and subscribe, and please rate us. That only helps us get better and find more and more people out there in the world that love to hear wrestling stories. You know the Spotlight is by far my favorite time to do the podcast because I love hearing the stories about how people got into professional wrestling. I do. Don't forget to check out our merch at What a Maneuver. You can buy merch there, or you can head over to our own website. It's linked there as well. CanCrusher69.wixsite, wixsite.com/CanCrushers. We have a couple sites there where you can buy some merch and all that cool stuff. And then when you want really cool stuff, not that ours isn't the coolest, you can check out Collar and Elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool stuff that Al Snow and his crew at collarandelbowwrestlingbrand.com are making. When you go to checkout, use the promo code CANCRUSHERS. All one word, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. You'll save 10% and you'll help out the show as well. All right, that's enough of me rambling. I didn't give you guys a lot in this intro because you need to hear it from Vette Addams. Right after Al Snow, she's coming on the air. So here comes Al, and then Vette's right around the corner.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crusher Spotlight. You heard at the beginning of the show how excited I am to have my guest on. She is an inspiration. I'm going to bring down the fourth wall of the podcast already. We spent about 10 minutes prior to the show just chatting a bit, and if I could reach through the phone right now and give her a hug, I love this lady already. Welcome to the show, Vette Addams. How are you, dear?
Thank you so much. I'm doing so good. I'm really excited to be on this show. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I do hate you, though, because you're in Georgia, and it's probably about 70 down there right now, and in Pennsylvania, it's still 20.
It is so nice. I'm sitting on my front porch in a rocking chair, enjoying the weather with a throw blanket on my lap. It is wonderful.
And
I live in Atlanta, and this weather is just very delightful today.
And we have the old wood burners and the heaters cranked up to about 90, and my wife has extra blankets on. We're sick of this up here. We're ready to move. Do you have a basement we can live in for a little bit?
You know, I actually do live in a duplex, and the downstairs apartment might be going up for rent soon.
Kelly, I know you listen to these when they come out every Wednesday. There it is. There is our invitation to move to Georgia. We both love it down there. How close are you to a peach tree? That's pretty important to me.
Okay, how close am I to a peach tree or to the peach tree?
Any of the peach trees. I just need peaches every day of my life.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so in Georgia, right? There are peach tree streets everywhere. Like not like an actual physical like peach tree itself. Like we do have plots and stuff, but those are kind of hidden and you can't really get to them from the roads. But like Peachtree Road and Peachtree Street, I mean, they're everywhere. It's confusing in Atlanta because there are so many peach trees.
Okay. I would find those plots. That's one thing about us Northerners, I'll say it this way, that we scheme once in a while. We'll go deep into the woods and find, if we're looking for something, we're going to find it.
You want those peaches.
We did buy those peaches. Even though we don't grow one of them up here, we bought them someplace, yeah.
Yeah, Georgia peaches are amazing. I grew up in the country on a horse farm, and there was a little produce stand right down the street from my dad's farm, and they had the most incredible fruits and veggies. And when it was peach season, oh my goodness, they were delightful.
Yeah. You didn't think you were coming on a wrestling podcast talking about peaches today, did you?
You know what? I did not expect that. No, I didn't. No.
Good. You wait until we actually calm down. Once we hit the high note and we have to bring it back down, the questions do get stupider, by the way. They really do. Yeah, good.
Oh, great.
Be excited.
I look forward to it.
Good. So you said you grew up on a horse farm. Essentially, then, were you in rodeos and so on and so forth?
Yes, actually. I grew up on a horse farm, and I grew up breaking horses and fixing Harleys. And that was just the normal. I grew up riding horses, riding bulls, riding motorcycles. And, that was just what we did. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't anything new or exciting. It was just normal, It wasn't until I actually moved to the city of Atlanta that I found out being a female motorcyclist is more of like a rarity. I moved to the city and people would see me on my motorcycle and just gawk and stare and their jaws would hit the floor being a female motorcyclist. But honestly, that was just how I was brought up, that we just grew up, riding motorcycles, riding bulls, shooting guns,
country
cattle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a norm up here. There's a ton of people. One of my best friends' girlfriends chews snuff. I mean, people are like, "Oh my god, that's us." That you want to talk about? I'll say it. This is not Vette saying. You want to talk about redneck? That's us up here. You know, the girls chew snuff, drink beer, and ride quads and motorcycles and stuff, and it's an everyday occurrence. So it's
normal. And I'm very thankful for this now. When I was a kid, I grew up barefoot, and I actually stayed barefoot the majority of my early adult life, just because I genuinely just enjoyed feeling the dirt in the grass between my toes. And I used to always get a bunch of trouble and a bunch of heat for always being barefoot. But now that I look back, I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I stayed barefoot, because now that I only have one foot, I'm glad I took that opportunity to feel all those, blades of grass and leaves and little clumps of dirt.
Yeah, and nice little tease there. We haven't said anything yet, but nice little tease. You do only have one foot right now, along with one other thing. So that's really lost me, though, about being barefoot. I hate, first and foremost, I would understand where you're coming from. I hate feet. I am one of those guys. If I don't have socks on, I have Crocs on right now in front of in my house, just because.
Do you have Crocs with the socks?
Crocs with the socks, and the Crocs also have the liner. First of all, it's cold again. Remember, let's go back to that. It's cold.
Oh, yeah, you got the fuzzy liner Crocs.
Of course I do. Of course. I'm that guy. Right. So you're training to be a referee / wrestler / referee, and you have Nick Patrick in your corner.
At Deep South Wrestling, and Nick Patrick, you're right, is my personal trainer. I have been training with Deep South for about 2 years now to be a professional wrestler. And I really started focusing on refereeing in the past few months. And my career as a referee is starting to take off.
Do you like the referee aspect more than wrestling, or are we still going to get both out of you?
So you never know what could happen and when. So first of all, let's start off with that.
Right.
But I'm pursuing both. I really enjoy wrestling, and I like having that skill set. But I really enjoy reffing. I get the best seat in the house. I'm in charge of the ring. I get to see the action, and I get to be a part of the storylines, and I get to be an addition to the match. And I also, just kind of stay out of the way, so that way they can highlight their own match. But yeah, I really enjoyed being a referee. And to be honest with you, I'm incredibly inspired by Nick Patrick's career as a referee. Not only because he's my trainer and mentor, but because his story and everything that he did. And oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're going to do a little deep dive on Nick Patrick here in a minute, because he is one of the greatest. I'm sure you'll say he is the greatest, but he's been engulfed in so many storylines, and he would be a great talk. And oh my God, he's just legendary. He really is.
He is absolutely legendary. The stories that he has, Nick Patrick is a great storyteller, by the way.
Good to know. Good to know.
Nick Patrick is a great storyteller, and his stories, what he's seen, what he's done, what he's experienced, I mean, they're just wild.
Yeah, he could have his own podcast just telling his own stuff, and people would, just subscribe and throw money at him, I'm sure. Because
you're not wrong.
I know.
You're not wrong. We were discussing maybe Deep South starting a podcast for patrons. We're discussing it. We haven't gotten to the point of doing it yet, but it is in the works.
It should be in the works, because Deep South has a deep history as well. So let's talk a little bit about Deep South without giving you your big announcement. I know if you're a Deep South wrestling fan, you know what's coming up this weekend, but those that are just going to happen to trickle down to Georgia this weekend. Vette will tell you more in a minute. But Deep South, I mean, I've watched Deep South. I guess there's a little bit of a resurgence coming out with Deep South right now.
Yes, absolutely. So Deep South Wrestling is presenting a professional wrestling event next Friday, March 4th, at Mixed Deity Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. It is going to be free for the public, and it's we're just going to have our doors open, and we want to put on a barn burner of a show. And that is, this upcoming Friday, March 4th.
Yeah, and we'll get into the couple reasons here in a little while, because if you follow Deep South, you know, again, the history of it, and then it's also linked to you, because there's a heck of an anniversary involved.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we talked about you being a ref a little bit, wrestler now. I know you love it, and you're taking over the referee kind of standard down there as well, but how much training are you still putting in on the wrestling aspect?
So at this point, I've really focused on the refereeing. So whenever I go to training, like, of course, I still do my roll-ups, and I still practice my spots, and I still do the drills. So I stay, up on my wrestling. I just have been really focusing on my refereeing.
Okay. And this would be the spot now that I would ask you about your favorite wrestlers when you grew up. But I know that wrestling has come to you, and it's deep enough into the podcast now that we can reveal what's going on. You didn't find wrestling until a little bit ago. Let's just put it at that. Maybe 2-3 years ago, right?
Yeah, correct. So I grew up, like I said earlier, on a horse farm, out in the country. And so we really didn't watch TV. If me and my brothers or sisters ever got bored, and run up to my mom and say, "Hey, Mom, we're bored," she'd just be like, "Go outside and chase the chickens," coming at me saying you're bored. So we did. So we went outside and chased chickens. And, we really didn't watch TV growing up. And I kind of took that with me into adulthood. I don't watch TV very often. I am not kept up on all of the TV shows. So I didn't grow up watching TV which inherently means I didn't grow up watching professional wrestling either. What little TV we did see as a kid was, on Sundays when my dad would watch NASCAR.
Right. There's nothing wrong with it. It was different back in the day.
There's nothing wrong with that. No, and he back in the day, like, he still doesn't do it.
Well, he does, but I've given up on it. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
And so I didn't watch wrestling until after my motorcycle accident, which we're going to talk a little bit more about. And whenever I was introduced to it, I was introduced to Ric Flair's retirement match against Shawn Michaels.
Unbelievable match to watch for your first match.
Unbelievable. I completely just love the power, the splendor, the emotion, I didn't even fully understand the entirety of the storyline, but I understood enough, coming in as a newbie watching wrestling. Like, they covered it, and they really hit the feelings, and they really hit the spots, and it was intense, and it was amazing. And I was inspired. So I actually pursued it. And what I mean by I was inspired is, I'm sorry, I just keep going back into my motorcycle accident.
No, we're getting there. We're right after this wrestling match, and a couple questions I have, we're going to the motorcycle accident.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I didn't see it until after my motorcycle accident, and I had felt so down, and I really felt like life had kicked me down. And then whenever I saw, these athletes on TV, so confident and so sure of themselves, I was like, you know what? I used to be like that. I want to find that confidence again. I want to be sure of myself again. I'm going to pursue this. So I did.
Who showed you that match, and how does that come about? after your accident? Because I know where you are, just from talking to you a little bit and doing some research. I know where you are before we get into the rest of the people listening right now. Who says, Vette, you have to watch this because you're laid up right now?
No, it was actually, so I was dating a high school wrestling coach at the time, and he really enjoyed professional wrestling as well. And so I told him, if you were to show me one match that makes me understand wrestling, what would you show me? So that way I could understand what you enjoy about this. Will you show me what you love? And then he did, and I fell in love too.
I don't care where you are with this man right now, but thank you to him, because that is one of the greatest matches.
He actually he's actually training at Deep South Wrestling now too.
See that?
Because at the time, we were seeing each other, and he showed me this match. I fell in love. I was inspired. So I started doing the footwork and the research, and I started, getting my feelers out there to find a professional wrestling school. So I found Deep South, and, I got in connections with them, and I started training, and then he followed.
That's cool. That's a great story within itself. And that's not even a story that we want to tell you guys here on it.
Yeah, and he's doing great. He's still training at Deep South Wrestling. He's got his very first live show coming up this summer. He's doing a great job.
Cool. Maybe we'll have him stop by Can Crushers soon.
Game on. I'll give him your contact.
Cool. All right. We've teased it enough. Not that it's a tease, guys. Get ready. Get your tissues out, because Vette recently did another podcast, Bury the Ring. What was it called?
Bury the Gimmick.
Bury the Gimmick. Yeah, Bury the Gimmick. I found it. I listened to it. I paused it about halfway through. I was driving down the road in the garbage truck when I heard this, so I kind of had to, man up. I'm a garbage man. Settle down, Mark. You're not going to cry. Everybody knows I cry, by the way, Vette. Everybody that's ever listened to Can Crushers knows I can cry from stubbing my toe. So you found wrestling in the most, and I'm trying to play it off a little bit, but I know it's not, the most unorthodox way, essentially.
Yes.
Because you were in your deathbed, to put it bluntly.
Yes. My motorcycle accident. So what had happened was, I was riding my motorcycle in March 2019, and I was riding through the city of Atlanta, and a car decided that they wanted to turn left, right through me. So I got hit by a car. I lost my leg, and I actually lost my life as well. I was a DOA, which means death on arrival. And I am incredibly lucky to be able to sit here and talk to you today. I was resuscitated not only once, but successfully resuscitated twice. I have a really bad traumatic brain injury that killed the C6 portion of my brain. So now I have a condition called strabismus, which essentially gives me cross eyes and gives me diplopia, which means double vision.
And she's doing all this in a wrestling ring now, guys.
Yes. So it wasn't until after my motorcycle accident, when I was, I'd lost my leg and I was seeing double of everything, that I started to train. I started to train to wrestle within my first year of having a prosthetic. I was walking for maybe 6 or 8 months, and then I jumped in a ring.
And is that, to do a bit of a rewind, when you were down, that's when your boyfriend at that time then showed you wrestling and said, maybe a story like Flair and HBK can pump you back up or something like that?
Yeah, no, it was more me being interested in what interested him. But it wasn't like he was trying to give me a pick-me-up. It was just a happy coincidence that it hit my heart the way that it did. I don't think either one of us were expecting me to be so inspired by it. But losing a limb, you don't just lose a body part. Okay. And that sucks. It hurts. It's hard. It sucks. I'm not downplaying that part, but like, you struggle with so many other battles too, with like your sense of independence, your sense of identity, your what makes you who you are, what makes you happy, what drives you now. Because before I used to just be driven by my, career in veterinary medicine. And I was driven by my friendships and everyday life. And I was driven by, my motorcycle group that I was a part of. I was the head bitch in charge of a female only motorcycle group called the Lady Fingers in Atlanta.
That's awesome.
And
shout out to them.
Great. Oh yeah, shout out to them. We did so many amazing things in and for this city. But I was motivated by all of that, and then to be hit down and be so fiercely independent previously, because I was fiercely independent. I didn't ask nobody for nothing. And then to be in a position where I have to ask for help. And asking for help is so hard. It's so demoralizing, and it really makes you question your being. And so I was really struggling with my identity, my independence, my sense of self. And when I saw this match, I saw how confident Flair was. I saw, how surefire and sure step Shawn Michael was. And I don't know, like it really, like it reminded me of a time when I was at the top of my career and the top of my motorcycle, gang, and like the top of my, involved in communities. And like, I was thriving, and then I got hit, and I wanted to meet that point of thriving again. And, so I just chased it and in hopes that it would give me some sort of satisfaction. And it has, empowered me so much. Yeah. Not just the wrestling aspect of it, not just the refereeing aspect of it, but Nick Patrick is actually teaching me the ropes in Deep South wrestling. I am learning how to run office. I'm learning how to book shows. I am learning how to run an event. And that is just, it's incredible to be able to work with such a legendary company, and for them to have so much faith and trust in you, in me.
Yeah. You just blowing my mind right now, because so you are possibly the predecessor of Deep South wrestling. Is that what we're saying? Are you the next Stephanie McMahon, the next Triple H? Nick, you're not young.
You never know what could happen and when. You never know what could happen and when.
Right?
Now, and Nick might be 61, but he still got it, man.
God, he's better. He's in better shape than me. By 16 years, he'll kick my ass. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he still goes to the gym, and like he still gets in the ring. He still got it.
Let's revert.
We are actually going to a show tomorrow in Warner Robins, Georgia, and he is the special guest referee for their controversial main event that they've been fighting for this championship belt. And like goons keep goofing up, and bad guys pulling bullshit, and good guys not quite able to get the win. It's been a struggle, and Nick is stepping in to officiate it, so none of the goons get involved again.
They have to bring the heavy back in to take control, essentially.
Yes they needed the boss man, and Nick is boss.
He's boss bitch.
He is boss. My gosh, I've seen Nick have to have some pretty hard conversations with people at past shows, and I'm telling you what, I would never want to get on his bad side.
No, just being a TV personality, I wouldn't want to get on his bad side. I don't know him as well as you or at all, but yeah, he portrays it as he'll punch you in the face and ask questions later.
No, absolutely. Like that's not wrong. That is not wrong. Nick is a bad man. But you know what? He's also a really incredible trainer. Like, so with me having all of my disabilities, I'm on one leg. I had cross eyes, I did have surgery to correct my cross eyes. So they're back aligned again. But, whenever when I first presented myself to him, I got really sick after my motorcycle accident, and I was a grown ass woman down to 80 pounds.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was grown, and I was so skinny, and I had cross eyes and I had one leg, but I wanted it, and I came to him and I was just like, I want to train. I want to do better. I want to gain weight. I want to, be, able to coordinate myself. And he was like, all right, let's do it. And he had me in the ring with the rest of the boys. He did not give me special treatment because I was disabled. He expected the same out of me as everyone else, and I loved that. I'm so thankful he didn't give me any special treatment. He didn't look down on me. He saw me for me, and he's pushed me to get the best out of me. And he's so patient, and he's brilliant. Like, for example, hip tosses are hard for me. Whenever you give a hip toss, your opponent's weight actually bears down on your right leg a lot. And when I give a hip toss, it's hard for me to have both my weight and my opponent's weight into the stub of my socket. So what we've done to work around that is we've manipulated it. We've just manipulated the moves. So now I can do the same thing, just in a little bit different way, and it looks even better. It looks just as crisp, just as clean, just different,
Right, and there's nothing wrong with different. There really is nothing wrong with different.
Yeah, and like I don't know. He's so brilliant. He's honestly a wrestling mastermind. We just wrote up the show for Resurgence, and he is a wrestling mastermind. I'm so lucky that he is my mentor.
Yeah, let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, a little bit more about the accident and the kind of the months after. How you were in a coma. If you were DOA, yes. you had to have been in a coma
Absolutely.
For how long?
I was in a coma for about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks.
Have you talked, Mom, Dad? Have you talked about what they thought then, without getting too graphic, I guess? And if you don't want to talk about it, we can skip over this. But what were their thoughts? I mean, their daughter's essentially dead, and this is the part that breaks my heart.
Yeah, and it gets worse than that. Oh my goodness, Mark, it actually gets worse than that. So I lost my mom 3 months before I lost my leg.
God, I'm sorry.
I lost my mom the previous December to stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And she fought hard, and she fought long, and, but the cancer just took over, and when she declined, she very rapidly declined. And it was really hard to watch, and be there with her through all of that. And, we lost her in December. And then like I had said previously, I had worked in a veterinary hospital. So I was the lead internal medicine veterinary technician at one of 3 specialty hospitals in the entire state of Georgia. And, I actually, after losing my mom, I resigned from my position from lead internal medicine tech because I didn't feel like I had it in me to provide the quality care that they needed. I was so broken. I emotionally couldn't be there mentally, for my patients. And so I recognized that and I stepped down. And as soon as I stepped down, I was getting ready to go back to work at a primary care office because primary care is a lot easier to deal with than internal medicine. Primary care, I see puppies and kittens and I give vaccinations and ear infections. But internal medicine, I'm seeing, cancer again. And so I was about to pick up my job, another job at a general practice hospital. And then I got hit by a car. So obviously I couldn't, pursue that job. But, man, I got distracted. What was the point of me telling you this?
We were going, and now I let me pause for a second. I understand the whole mom thing because in 2019, my mom was having a hernia surgery, and a lot of the Can Crusher guys know this, but I'll tell the story for those that are listening now. My mom was having hernia surgery, and she had her bowel hit, and they didn't discover the sepsis for like 3 days until after that. So essentially, they couldn't do anything. That day, I quit my job, and I sat by my mom for 11 days because they pretty much told me we can't do anything. So I sat by my mom for 11 days until she passed, and then. Not poor me or anything, bounce back like you did, but you just mentally you're not prepared to do anything. You just it's a mental health issue, trauma, and I want to talk about that because that's a huge thing on our show too, to talk about mental health.
Yeah, please.
So I tapped out for 3 months. I'm like, I just watched my mom die, my best friend in the world, and So I understand that, and I'm sorry I didn't do my research about that to bring mom back up. Heartbroken
it's okay.
again.
I'm an open book, and these things that have happened, they hurt, but like they've built me to be me, and I'm very lucky that I had my mom in my life for as long as I did. I'm very lucky that I learned the things from her that I did. So it doesn't hurt to talk about her. It's really nice memories that I get to reminisce in,
Yeah, no, agreed. If you ever want a great reminiscing story, we did a tribute about my mom. It was right after her funeral, and all the Can Crusher guys came up, and legit, we sat around and drank a lot. I won't even tell you, but the stories that came out of my best friends, I go back to that and listen to it all the time. It's great just to listen about my mom. Yeah, so, yeah.
Oh, I love that for you. I love that you did that.
She was a wrestling fan. She loved Magnum TA, but not that you know who the hell that's at, because that's way before your time in wrestling.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did lose her about 3 months before I lost my leg, and my dad I feel the worst for. So my dad watched his wife of 30 years pass away, and then 3 months later his daughter gets into a life-threatening motorcycle accident. While I was in a coma for those 2 or more weeks, they never knew if I was ever going to wake up. They didn't know that I was even going to be mentally cognizant. They didn't think I'd even be able to have a conversation. But when I did wake up from my coma, my dad was right there, like right by me. He was the very first person that I saw. And I remember waking up and being in the ICU and like to the blinding lights, above me. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I looked over at my dad and I was just like, what happened? Where am I? What the hell is going on? And he was just like, baby girl, you got into a motorcycle accident. You've been in a coma for, more than 2 weeks. And you have lost your leg. And I'm on so many pain medicines at this point. I'm just like, no, I didn't. And I'm stubborn, and I'm like, I'm high on pain meds. I'm just like, it's still there. And I look down, and it's not. It's gone. And he was like, are you going to be all right in a prosthetic? And I was like, I'm going to be more than all right. I'm going to be the best. And he was just like, yeah. And I was just like, yeah. So now what? I've lost my leg. Now what?
Wow. Yeah.
And
it's just
I
like
was just ready to take the next step,
Literally
Yeah.
take the next. I mean, that was your own pun. So, how long after you're up and about, not in ICU, that you get your prosthetic and you essentially learn to walk again?
So I was in the ICU for about 3 or 4 months. I got discharged to a traumatic brain injury center for about another 6 or 8. So in the rehabilitation center is whenever I started, learning how to hop on a walker and how to push myself around in a wheelchair. It wasn't until after I get discharged from the rehabilitation center that my stub had healed up enough to even get a prosthetic. Because I had so much road rash, my road rash is actually what took the longest to heal. You're not allowed to wear a prosthetic if you have any open wounds on your stub. Okay. So like my surgery site, it healed up and everything, but the road rash was just vicious, and it took at least 8, almost 10 months to heal up.
Oh my God.
So I didn't even get size for a prosthetic for like 10 months. So I'm stuck in a wheelchair this entire time, which is incredibly degrading. It doesn't when you're used to living your life on 2 feet and being so independent, and then just to be forced to sit in a chair and, rely on others around you, like it just feels it. I would love to talk to anyone who wants to speak to me about it, because I have lots of feelings and emotions about it. I understand so much. It feels capturing. So it took me about 10 months to get even sized for a prosthetic, and relearning how to walk as an adult is really hard. Like it's weird, because it's not like you're on your own legs. You're on like this stilt now. You're on one of your legs, and then you're on a stilt. So you're wearing 2 different shoes essentially,
Yeah. I understand that analogy. I do. Yeah.
One of them happens to be a stiletto, the highest stiletto you ever did see. And so it took me another half year to really be able to walk. And then as soon as I got walking down, I jumped straight into the ring and started running the ropes.
That's crazy. And that's unbelievable within itself, because there's people that I've had on the show that it takes them 6 months to a year to learn the bounce of the canvas and the ropes. And here you are, a couple weeks after you get your prosthetic, you're freaking super fried Jimmy Snuka.
And I think the bounce of the ring is really because of my prosthetic, there's no like I have a fixed ankle. So my ankle is locked at 90 degrees. And there's no hydraulics. There's nothing like that. I don't have an athletic prosthetic because insurance doesn't want to pay for it. Ugh, that's a whole other conversation.
What?
That's a true story. Insurance doesn't want to pay for it. That's it. I don't have I wrestle on a regular walking prosthetic because insurance doesn't want to pay for me to get an athletic prosthetic. U.S. human healthcare system is awful. That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
And I don't have hydraulics in this. So whenever I got into the ring and I got like the bounce of the canvas, it kind of awoke something in my brain, like, oh, this is familiar. Oh, this feels kind of normal. Okay. So it actually, because it was triggering like old sensors in my brain for how my leg used to work, because it was kind of feeling like that again, it was actually not, I mean, it's hard, but finding the bounce in the ring helps.
Okay.
Does that make any sense at all?
I'm joking, but no, because I have two legs. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
No, but I understand because if I would put a leg up and walk with a I don't know what I'm trying to think of, a piece of wood right now or something, it would have to bounce. But after a minute, you would understand. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't mean that mean. I was just kind of rolling with a little bit, but.
I don't take it mean at all. Thank you for being honest, completely honest. Because honestly, a lot of the times whenever I ask someone, like, does that make sense? If they don't understand it, they'll be like, yeah, I understand completely. And I'm like, but do you?
No, I don't. I hate to say it that way, but no, I don't understand it. It would only be another person that has a prosthetic that could understand it.
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't think you understand how many people I do run into on a day-to-day that are just like, yeah, I understand completely. Actually, I broke my leg this one time and I'm like, okay, here we go. You know what? You're doing the best that you can. And I appreciate you trying. That's all I can ask is thank you for trying.
Yeah, no, not it.
Because a lot of people actually don't handle my disability very well.
And that's sad. That's another podcast within itself. You can go off on it, but that's another whole podcast. I told you before we went on the air, you have the whole realm of whatever you want to talk about, and I mean that. Run as long as you want, but that is another podcast to talk because people are ignorant.
Yeah, we could absolutely talk for an entire hour about that. The way people look at me just because I have a prosthetic leg. It is difficult, and they don't mean to be assholes by it. And what I mean by that is like, no one thinks that they're a bad person. No one thinks that they're doing wrong. They think that they're acting respectfully towards the other person. So, as an example, whenever you're a kid and you see something different or weird, your mom smacks you in the face and it's like, don't stare.
Yep. I've been hit a lot, by the way.
Yeah. And people take that into adulthood with them. So now they think it's shameful to look. It's shameful to address. It's shameful to accept that this is what is in this space right now. So what they do is when they take that into adulthood with them, they won't look at my prosthetic. They won't even look at me. So they just ignore my existence because my existence makes them so uncomfortable because they've been slapped so many times as a kid as not to stare. So they think they're being respectful. They think that by not looking at me, they're being respectful, and they think that, that makes me not feel like I'm a sideshow. But honestly, it makes me feel worse when I'm ignored, when like I'm not even considered a person anymore with thoughts and feelings because of I just have something on my body that makes other people uncomfortable sometimes.
That brings up two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One, answer them however you want. But one, would you... If somebody comes over and asks you, just a normal Joe outside of, Taco Bell or whatever, and says, hey, what happened? Are you open? I mean, clearly you are because you're telling me that we've never met before, but it's going to the masses. Are you completely open to tell them your complete story like you're telling us right now?
Yeah, so sometimes yes, sometimes no. So if I'm just at Taco Bell and someone's just like, hey, what happened? I'll be like, I got into a motorcycle accident. And typically it's like, oh, okay. And then we, part ways. If I'm talking to the boys in the locker room and someone asks, hey, what happened? Then because I have that time, we'll sit down and I'll talk to them about it. I have no problem. I actually refereed my first live event the other weekend at Old School Wrestling. And I met this fan in the crowd. She came up to me after the show. She had one leg. And she came up to me and she was like, you know what? Like, I'm so thankful that I came to the show. It was so encouraging to see you work. Like, how long did it take you to get to this point? I'm so inspired. Thank you. And that really meant a lot. And I started talking and I got distracted. Oh man, what is the point of my story?
that right there was the point of your story. There doesn't need to be any more. I'm not trying to cut you off, but that fan right there, that's been going to wrestling forever in her life probably, just was feeling down, and now all of a sudden, and I'm going to say it, a superhero comes out of backstage like you that is showing people that it's okay. You still, you're alive. You're more, I hate to say this like this, but I think you're more alive now than you were when you had two legs. And I
agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you fully. Thank you so much for seeing that. I really appreciate it. And like, I felt really good talking to her at the show. She was just like, thank you so much. Like, that makes me, feel better about my situation. And we talked for about 30, 45 minutes. We got pictures together. And she is actually coming to Resurgence.
See? And you're networking too. Haha.
Yeah.
That's all part of the wrestling business. Yeah. The second question I have to follow up on that, and we are happy right now, but I'm going to be the Debbie Downer. With all of this, how much does mental health now come into? I think you might have had a little bit, and you probably still have a little bit clinging on, but you've pushed a lot away, because there's people that this could have happened to, and they're content that wheelchair, or they're content just going to a home or something, and you're like, F this.
Yeah, I'm stubborn. Ooh, I'm too stubborn. But no, so mental health I'm a huge advocate for mental health. So I still have a traumatic brain injury. That is something that I'm going to have to live the rest of my life with. So I do struggle with getting lost in stories like I have with you on the podcast. I'll forget my points. I'll get lost. I'll forget.
That's my life. That's my wife. That's my life in general. So I'm good. You're like my second wife all of a sudden.
You know what? Yeah, I got an excuse at least.
Okay, thanks. All of a sudden, you're her best friend. You're great.
I'm on her team. Yeah, so and then also with the trauma that everything has, that I've endured. I actually see my psychiatrist once every 3 months. We have me medically managed on a really awesome, SSRIs, which is an antidepressant, and a mood swing stabilizer. And also I take a stimulant to help with my cognition. Because of my TBI, if I don't take the stimulant, I can be a little slow, a little sluggish, not really on point, but the stimulant helps pick me up to where I'm at regular speed. So I see my psychiatrist, and we're on, and I'm medically managed with her regularly. And then I also go in to see my therapist once a week. I still see her once a week. My accident was almost 3 years ago, but I still talk to her all the time about it. I still, struggle, deal with, face, the adversities that comes with being disabled. And my therapist has been there for me through so much and helped me navigate and understand and find words and coping mechanisms. And, honestly, understanding is a lot of the battle, and she helps me understand a ton.
So I'm going to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's okay to have good and bad days. Your good days are going to come, essentially, because I'm in that same boat. There's off air, I can tell you a load of stuff. We'll save it for another podcast here, but off air, there's a load of stuff. So yes, every 2 weeks, I'm the same way. I go to a therapist. I talk to them. I'm medicated for things. Mom passing away, not issue. Mom's passing away kind of riled everything back up. For the last couple years, I was in a cloud, in a web, and it took me 6 months after that to, having my wife beat me down and friends say, just go talk to somebody. We'll listen, but we know you don't want to burden us with it, so go get professional, or, go talk to a priest or something.
I love being there for my friends. I love being there for my friends and talking to them about their life issues. But sometimes, issues are just so tough or so complex that as a friend, I'm not enough.
Yeah.
I
No,
can be there to
agreed.
support you, but as a friend, I'm not enough. You need someone who is professionally trained to help navigate through this. And I love suggesting for people to go seek mental health help, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy, whether it's the eye movement thing, whether it's medicated, holistic. I mean, unless you are paying rent and seeing a therapist, I don't think you're considered an adult. I think
Yeah,
I
I
think those are
agree.
the two things that
I agree.
qualify you as an adult.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, in this
Because
day and age,
if you're
you
not,
need it.
yeah, if you aren't willing to look at yourself and be like, you know what, I've got things I could work on, then are you grown?
Are you grown? I love that.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna transition a little bit because I'm heavy.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk heavy conversations. Like I said,
awesome.
I love mental health. I'm a super big advocate. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I stopped your transition.
No, there was no transition. Listen to enough of these. There's never a transition, dear. We can dive more into this because there's going to be a trip to Atlanta. There's going to be a trip to Georgia.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
Yes.
There's got to be, and I'm a hugger, Vet. I'll tell you that right off the bat.
Oh, me
so
too.
be prepared.
Perfect.
And I know my wife is going to fall in love with you after, so be prepared for friend requests and everything because she's a creeper.
That.
She's a creeper. She waits and sees, what we talk about. If it's all just wrestling, she's okay with it. But if we get into something like this,
I might just go find her and send her a friend request. Just be proactive,
She'll freak out because she doesn't know I'm talking to you today. She just knows it's an interview today. She doesn't know who it is. So yes, do that as soon as we're done.
Oh, game on.
I
love making new friends.
Yes. All right. A lot more on that to come. We're going to have a lot more in the Deep South. I have a feeling this is a budding relationship. But let's transition to more about Vet in the wrestling business. But we're going to have our stupid conversation now. We all know this. Okay? This comes up and we kind of break the ice a little bit. So you're hanging out with Nick Patrick all the time. All right? He's your homeboy. He was part of the NWO. So would you rather be in the NWO Wolfpack or the original Black and White? And you're probably like, I don't know, because that was not even on my realm of watching wrestling yet.
It wasn't, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I like Wolfpack, and it's a really superficial reason. I like sticking my fingers up and going, woo!
Good.
Okay, look, that's it. That's all I have.
That's good enough for me. That is really superficial, but I love it.
So it's almost the rock hand, but it's not. It's cool. I don't know. It's superficial. It's a dumb answer, but that's fine.
It's a great answer. I told you they get stupid. Wait, the last one is the stupidest. All right. Would you rather have Nick Patrick as your manager when you're wrestling or the referee of the match? And you can't have them both. Don't even give me this PC answer.
Ooh, that's hard. Let me think about that one. Would I rather have Nick Patrick as my manager or the ref?
And he could be a shady ref because he's been a shady ref before.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I'm trying to think. Oh, this is a good question. This is a really good question. This is hard. Because I would want him to ref, but I also know his mic skills, and he's such... Oh, this is so hard. Because Nick Patrick is a bad, bad man. Wow, this is a good question.
This is one to take to Deep South then to ask all the kids. And I mean trainers, not just kids. God, that sounds horrible, but you know what I mean.
No. It's the kids. It's wrestling lingo. You know, it's whatever. I didn't take any sort of way.
Most of them are probably younger than me anyway, so those goddamn kids.
You know what? I think that in this moment, in this particular moment, I would say I would want Nick Patrick to, sorry, I was about to say it and then I changed my answer again. This is hard. This is hard.
It's okay.
Okay. You know what? I'm a baby face and I'm learning and I'm, growing. So I think having him as a manager would teach me a lot and would show me the reins a lot.
I was hoping you would go there. I really was, because as a ref, he can be slimy and, whatever, but that normally doesn't help you as a baby face. So the manager part would help you out because he could pull you to the side and, you could learn a little sliminess. Yeah. And then turn on him.
Yeah. And I think Nick would be, would be great for a manager, but that's not to say that that's going to happen or anything like that. We've never had that conversation.
No, this is all fantasy right now.
Yeah, this is all fantasy. I have dreamed up different things whenever I first started wrestling, different things for Nick to come out and say for me whenever I was just like, maybe Nick Patrick will be my manager when I was super new. And now that I know the business a lot more and I've been trained a lot more and I see a lot more, I'm just like, Nick Patrick's not going to be my manager.
No, I didn't even know that. So wait, I'm reading Deep South's roster already, or booking or whatever.
Yeah.
Last one. Would you rather? And this one's a little bit heavier. Would you rather be able to, ride have the feeling of riding a motorcycle or a horse again with two legs? I know you're back on the motorcycle already, right?
Yeah, I am actually back on both.
Oh, all right. Which one? So essentially, which one do you miss more then?
I miss riding motorcycles more. I do. I was very active in my motorcycle community. Like I said, I was one of the HBICs, the Lady Fingers. We did amazing things for the city, in the city. We traveled cross country. I developed some incredible friendships and relationships and just made an impact. I felt very impactful being a part of the motorcycle community. The rodeo community is a little bit different, and horseback riding, equestrian is a little bit different in general. And I loved riding horses. I just really love riding motorcycles.
Okay, ready for the stupidest one that continues to be asked for on here, by the way. I didn't tell people you were coming on because this was kind of a surprise one. But normally when I leak that, hey, somebody's coming on, they're going to make sure you ask the question. And I'm like, oh, my God. All right. What's your favorite cereal?
What's my favorite cereal?
Yeah, see?
Damn. I don't really eat breakfast.
Okay. But when you did...
I wake up at noon and eat lunch.
All right.
Look, having professional wrestling as a lifestyle, it's a great way to live. You wake up at noon and eat lunch.
Right, it is. I want that. I'm tired of waking up at 4:00 in the morning. I really am.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, right? You're only going to bed then normally.
Exactly, yeah. I'm just settling down.
But when you did eat cereal, what was your favorite? Because if I don't get this, I'm going to get shit on by the people. When you did as a little child, what was your favorite cereal? And then tell me how you made it. Are you a sociopath or not? That's what we're getting to.
Okay. I think I'm going to be a little wienerific and say that Frosted Flakes or Raisin Bran was my favorite.
That's okay.
Because I like cleaner, healthier stuff. I don't really like sugar that much. But Frosted Flakes or Raisin Bran.
Okay. Now, how did you make your cereal? This is the stupidest one. How did you make it? Give me the process of you making cereal in the morning.
Okay. So I pour the cereal into the bowl, and then I put the spoon in the bowl. Then I pour the milk over top of the cereal, and then I stir the cereal excuse me, into the milk. Sorry, talking about food's making me hungry.
That's awesome. Okay, so no sociopathism there at all. That's okay. The stirring is the same thing of like letting it set for a couple extra seconds. But the reason is because we've had some wrestlers come on, and I don't know how this actually came about. Full Sail continuous, a major question on Can Crushers that talk about beer a lot instead of cereal, but apparently I don't know. Somebody poured the milk in first, and then the cereal.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Sociopath,
What a
right?
crazy person. That is a heel move.
Right.
That is a heel move.
Right. All right. On a rest day, what does Vette Addams do on a rest day? You're not going to the gym. You're not going to do any film study or anything. What are some things that you just like to unwind with?
So Mondays are actually my me days. Every Monday I have a me day. And how PC or not PC can I go?
You can be un-PC out the ass. So go ahead.
Okay, so a little bit more about me and my personal life, and we can come back to it if you want to. We can just roll off of it if you want to. But me personally, I have a pet possum.
Possum.
And
An opossum.
Yes, an opossum.
Okay.
I used to, whenever I worked internal medicine, I used to do wildlife rehabilitation. And one summer, I was rehabilitating 3 litters of possums all at once. And when you rehabilitate them, you don't want them to get used to humans. You want them to be fearful of humans, be aggressive towards humans. You want them to do better than get close to humans, because humans are the worst things for them.
Right.
So when you raise them, you have to raise them to be feral. And so I was raising these possums to be feral possums. And one of the babies was too smart. She latched onto me and she imprinted on me, and she domesticated herself. So when I let all of her siblings out into the wild to be nice little feral possums like they're supposed to be, I decided I would keep her as a domestic house possum because she was way too tame to release safely into the wild. She was way too sweet, way too docile. She gave me kisses all the time. Like, I couldn't in good conscience release her. So now I have a domestic little house possum who hangs out with me. She's got an exercise wheel. She's got a cat tree. She's got her veggies. She is set up. She is the most spoiled little possum ever. And on my Monday me days, all I do is hang out with my possum, water my plants, and just smoke a bunch of pot.
Nice.
Good
for you.
That's all I do on my Monday me days is, pots, plants, and possums.
Do you... I'm jealous that you get Mondays off, by the way, but that's awesome. 2, the pot, good for you. I'd love to, but there's this whole damn CDL thing going on that, I can't, or if I wouldn't pass a piss test. So there's that, Can Crusher Nation. 2, do you walk your possum? Do you like take to the park or what?
So I don't take her to the park because, so it is, oh man, I shouldn't be saying this on a podcast, but here we go. It is illegal to house wildlife.
It's not wild anymore. It's tame.
She's not wild anymore, but she's an opossum, and and she once was wild, and I did, she imprinted. I didn't intentionally domesticate her, but after she imprinted and domesticated herself, I did, go ahead and put my hands on her and continue the domestication. So like it's illegal for me to have her. Her name is Charlotte. Her name is Charlotte Flair.
Are you effing kidding me?
I'm so serious. Her name is little Charlotte Flair. And so I don't take Charlotte out to the bars or to the park or anything like that.
And
also,
take it to the bar. That's awesome.
She's not very social either. Possums are naturally very anxious animals. They're very shy animals. They like their own space and their own. So she's not she's not like a dog where I could just walk out on a leash and she'd be okay in public. You know, she would get very anxious and it would make her not feel welcome or okay or easy. And also, I just don't want to show off the fact that I have a possum. You know, it's cool and all, but she's my baby, and a lot of people like, you know, look at her and just think, oh, cool, but don't think like, oh, she's like actually a little thing that I am protecting and nurturing and who loves me. And I don't know, people get kind of rough with her sometimes because she looks aggressive. She's not aggressive. That's just how possums look.
Do you bring the possum to the wrestling shows though? Like, can I meet little Charlotte Flair?
No, I do not take her to wrestling shows. That would be very unsafe environment for her.
Yeah. I would watch her. If the one that I come down to, I would watch her. I promise. I'll be good. I want to hold a bottle. No.
She hates loud noises. She hates flashy lights. She hates people.
So I love Charlotte Flair all of a sudden now. Little Charlotte Flair.
Yes, little Charlotte Flair. My little baby toe biter.
That's awesome. I'm jealous of your Mondays, so we'll move on. How much wrestling like study are you doing? Again, I'm not shitting on Nick Patrick at all. One of the greatest, but do you watch anybody else as a referee? Do you go back and watch Earl Hebner? Do you watch anybody today that Aubrey Edwards or anybody like that?
You know what? You just named the two names I was going to list off. Yes and yes. So yes, I go back and watch old tapes, and yes, I watch, these new ones, and I love the personality that Aubrey Edwards has been bringing to the table, and she's wonderful to watch to work. She's, I aspire to get to her level. I absolutely have her as a goal. Excuse me. My goal is a little different though.
Good transition, by the way. That was the next question. Go ahead.
Yeah. My goal is a little different though. I see where Aubrey Edwards is coming out as like a personality in the wrestling community, but my goal is to kind of have more of a Nick Patrick influence on today's wrestling community. Like Nick Patrick was a very influential referee, and he brought a lot of personality, and he brought storylines, and he brought interest, and he made people despise him. He made people cheer for him, but mostly despise him. And
most people, yeah.
I want that same reaction. I want to bring that same energy out of people. So I want to take it a lot more old school than she has gotten the opportunity to do so far. I don't know. This is me just talking out loud. Me and Nick Patrick have actually been discussing this in our office meetings. Different ways that we can, introduce that to the wrestling scene nowadays, because the wrestling business it changes super frequently. It's always the same, but it's always changing.
Yes, agreed wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, some storylines are rehashed, new ones are brought up, and so on and so forth like that. But it has to change because the world changes, and I don't mean the world changes as like what's going on all over the world, but fastness, the mindset of people that are gnats. That's why if you don't do some big moves or have the high flyers, even though I'm not a big fan of the high flyers every match, you lose people. Our attention spans are shit anymore.
And we're used to looking a few seconds at a picture and just keep scrolling.
Yep.
I agree with that. Absolutely. Like, high flyers, they do have their spot, but it's good to keep it meaningful.
Old
keep
school.
Those spots
Storyline.
meaningful.
Yes. Well, that's my next question. Describe the perfect wrestling match for you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I have this dream, okay, of perfect wrestling match is actually a Royal Rumble.
Oh my God. That's my favorite match of all time. You're now I don't know, marking me out, or are you throwing me underneath the bus, or did you do some, because the Royal Rumble is the greatest match of all time.
You want to know why I want to do the Royal Rumble?
I do.
I can't lose. You need 2 feet to go over the top buckle
I hate
and
you.
hit the ground.
You so worked me. I hate you. That's amazing. When did you think of this? When did you?
I don't know. I was joking around with Nick Patrick, and we are just busting each other's balls, and we said something along those lines, and I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
I thought you were going to tell me this huge storyline, and you could never lose.
Nope. It's just a Royal Rumble, because I could never lose.
You couldn't. You're right. You couldn't. You could not.
People ask me all the time if I would ever allow someone to take my prosthetic, and do anything with it. The answer is no.
Good.
Yes, the answer is
that's untasteful, I think.
It's incredibly untasteful. It's disrespectful. It doesn't, it doesn't symbolize the disabled community. I am a really big advocate for, amputees and the disabled community. And I don't feel like it makes them look good. Besides that, I'm not taking my gimmick off for anybody.
But it's really, I actually hate that you said it's your gimmick, because it's not, that's your livelihood. That's not your gimmick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it is who I am as a person. I just, what's really great about my story, my wrestling story in particular, is that, there are these characters, and there are these different personas that, that aren't exactly that person, but what's really great for what I've got is I get to be me, just amped up to 11, whereas Charlotte Flair is Ric Flair's daughter, and also a whole lot of other titles.
Right.
I get to take this misfortunate happening and twist it into something positive that reflects well on me. It makes me stand out from all of the other wrestlers. It puts me in a different spotlight. It's a part of me, but it's also a part of my gimmick. It's a part of what I do. It's really awesome that, I don't have to focus on pretending to be a persona when I can just amp myself up to 11. And then that is my character, is me.
Your character was built long ago. I don't know, because I haven't seen enough clips yet, but between the horse riding, the motorcycle riding, badass MFer leading the motorcycle group to, you built that, and then you transitioned into wrestling with one leg, essentially.
Yes.
Like, you were being prepped for the wrestling business, and you didn't know about it. Is where I'm bringing this whole story around.
100%. 100. I was resurged as Vette Addams.
Yeah, you really were. That's unbelievable. So, Vette, what are goals for 2022 then?
2022. Let's see. Well, I have this Deep South Wrestling show next Friday, March 4th. I am helping run that show. I honestly, I'm really enjoying my position in office at Deep South, and I'm going to make that a goal to really become someone that they can lean on, someone that they can depend on, trust in. I really want to work hard in the office. And also, I do hope to referee around the territories, and one day, hopefully put a wrestling match on for my dad and my siblings to come out and see what I can do. And But right now I'm really focused on reffing and Deep South office.
Okay. Well, that was, again, we are literally on the phone. We are not on FaceTime or anything like that. My next question was, how is Dad and the siblings with you now deep diving into wrestling and now, becoming, so engulfed into it?
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's hilarious. So my dad is a badass. Okay. So he is an old cowboy who still works a farm and raises children. Like he's like he's 78, 79 now. But so I'm the oldest of 6 children. We're not all biological. 4 of my little sisters were adopted through foster care.
You're all family. It doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I
100%.
hate that too. Yeah. All right.
And so I grew up being a foster family. So I grew up with lots of siblings throughout my childhood, and we adopted my 4 little sisters because the state was going to split them up, and my mom was like, no, they are my family, they're not going anywhere. And so my dad, he wrangles this horse farm and also raises teenage daughters.
It's 78, 79. I have a teenage son that I'm ready to ship off to I don't know where, but yeah. Good for him.
A farm upstate.
Right? Yeah. Or a farm down to Georgia. Will your dad take a 16-year-old boy?
He will put him to work.
Good luck with that. I've been trying that too, but no.
But yeah, so my dad, he's still running the horse farm. My little sisters, they all have special needs. And so they help him out around the house and at the farm. And my brother is a firefighter in Henry County where I grew up. And I don't know, like we're all just doing good now. We've been through some really hard times together, but like we finally hit this good state.
Your family is, I don't mean this snide or anything. Your family sounds like it is the magazine family, and it's amazing that I get to hear that you guys are so proud of what you do, and I'm grateful to talk to you today. I really am, and to hear about your family and to know that your roots are that amazing.
Thank
I
you
want to
so
meet
much.
them all. I want to meet them all.
Please.
I hope everybody's a hugger in your family because you don't understand what you've done today, let alone a couple days ago.
My little sister Victoria, she might not be a hugger. She's a feisty one. She might not give you a hug, but she'll give you a one-liner. That's for sure.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. She'll snap back with a one-liner so quick. She is fast.
She's fast. Cool. We have so much more to cover. We really do. I'll open it up, but I do want to get one more thing in, one more question. Then I want you to pump Resurgence out the wazoo again.
Yes.
And it's twofold. Okay, dream match to ref. Okay, you can pick anybody from any era. I don't care. Tell me who you want to ref. But then I want to know your dream match, because you're going to get back into wrestling. I know you're going to be full-fledged back into wrestling. I just understand your attitude so much right now. Who do you want to wrestle? It would probably be Charlotte Flair. I'm answering this already for myself. But who are you going to want to wrestle? Where do you want this to happen?
Ooh, you know what? Either Charlotte Flair or Asuka. I would love to wrestle Asuka. My goodness, Asuka is a dream match.
Okay.
And where? Let me see. Honestly, I wouldn't mind wrestling Asuka overseas.
Nice. You're one of the first ones that's ever taken that dream match question overseas.
Yeah?
Yeah, everybody usually says the generic Madison Square Garden, at AT&T, where the WrestleMania is happening. They want the big stadiums, or they want it in their hometown. You're taking it over to Japan, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
You're giving her home field advantage to kick her ass.
You got to give her a fair opportunity.
You do.
I like to stay fair, even in my wrestling matches. No cheating.
No, not yet. Nick Patrick has not taught you everything then.
He hasn't taught me everything. There's still room to learn.
But what's the match that you would on a ref ever in your life?
Ooh, okay. Okay, this is going to be a weird one.
Okay.
I want heel MJF versus face Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've ever put that match together. That's amazing.
You said I could pick any
Yeah,
wrestler.
I did. No. Yeah, but I just haven't thought about it because you think MJF, you think of Piper right off the bat. Everybody wants that match.
Yeah.
Ever. But to throw Dusty in it, and Dusty's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
Wow. Great pick,
Man.
kid. Great pick, kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
that
right.
one was easy.
That was easy. I didn't even think of that. All right, Deep South, this weekend, they have a free event. If you're not in Georgia, get to Georgia. If you live in Georgia and you're not there, you're a fool. Tell us everything you can about this event.
Okay, so this Friday, March 4th, we are having a Deep South Wrestling show. We are presenting Resurgence. So there are two main themes behind Resurgence. So the first one, I'm actually super happy to talk to you about. We are celebrating my Rekiversary. We are
Normal people don't celebrate that, but okay.
Yeah, no, we're celebrating my Rekiversary because I got to live. You know?
Yeah, touche.
I got to talk about it. I got to walk away. You know, it just took me a long time. But so we're celebrating my Rekiversary. It marks 3 years this March. And also one a little bit harder to talk about. We are celebrating the memory of Mr. Jody Hamilton. So for those of you who don't know, Mr. Jody Hamilton was the masked assassin, and tragedy struck the wrestling world as we lost him this past August. He was the founder of Deep South Wrestling. He has produced so many stars. He has invested so much into the wrestling community, into the business, and losing him was really hard on all of us, and especially Nick. You know, that was his father, and so we haven't had a wrestling show since we've lost Jody because we've been kind of working through the pain and the despair. But we're coming up. We are coming back up, and we are coming back swinging, and we are doing this Resurgence show for his memory, to honor him and to introduce, to talk to him about people who are familiar with his legacy, and also introduce people to his legacy.
That's amazing. If you're a wrestling fan and you don't know about Jody Hamilton, Mr. Assassin, you're lost. You are lost because he had been when it was the territorial wrestling era back, which I still love more than anything in the world. He was there. He was at this territory. He was at that territory. He was that territory. And that
he was running all the territories.
That's a golden age for me. I'm glad you're getting your Rekiversary, but I'm glad this is also something that Nick is doing in memory of his father, because this is awesome. Can I ask a question? Please tell me this is going to be at least Facebook Live or streamed or something.
So it's not going to be Facebook Live or streamed. We are going to record it, and then whenever it is done being edited and produced, we are going to post it on our website, deepsouthwrestling.com. So the episode will be aired. However, I highly recommend everyone come to the actual live event.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. If you're not there, you're an idiot. I've already told Vette if we didn't have plans, I'd figure out how to get to Atlanta this weekend. Sorry, Cal. But it would happen. It really would. At least we know we're going to be able to see this, on a tape delay, whenever, a month later or whatever. But if you're in and around that area and you have the means of getting there, I think something's going to happen. I already know that there's going to be, and generically I'm going to use it, there's going to be a huge resurgence of Deep South. Like, I think you guys have something in the hopper that is going to blow the wrestling world out of the water. I really do.
Absolutely.
I don't want it spoiled. I don't want anything like that. I want to see it and tweet it out saying, "Oh my god. Oh my god." So, yeah.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, this show is written so beautifully. It's going to be a wild, insane, like heartwarming time. And excuse me. We actually are not only adding to. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Let me reword that again.
It's all right.
Sorry, I had a brain blip. You know, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So Deep South Wrestling has its history. You know, it has its traditions. It has, you know, all of this really like luscious background. And we are adding to that legacy, and we are having the very first in Deep South Wrestling history intergender tag team match.
Wow.
Oh, it gets better. Oh, it gets even better. I'm not even done yet. So it is an intergender tag team match. So the girls fight the guys fight the girls. You know, nothing is off limits. But we are actually representing all genders. We are representing male genders. We are representing female genders. We are representing non-binary. We have a wrestler that I would love to plug. Her name is Andy Ripley, or their name is Andy Ripley. And they are going to come on the show and wrestle with the intergender tag team title. And that means we have representatives from everywhere for this match. We are highlighting all kinds of talent. It's just going to be amazing.
That's amazing within itself. I love that we are getting organizations up to par in the world. And I'll say it like this because my 16-year-old son a year ago came out to me, and he's gay. And people were like, "What do you think, Mark?" I'm like, "He's gay. Cool. He's my son. I don't care."
Yeah.
You know?
Congrats.
Yeah, cool. He's still my son. He's going to do whatever. Whatever. And there's still some wrestling organizations that are so worried about this stupid stigmatism.
Yes.
Guess what? Yes. They're humans. They're wrestlers. They're entertainers. Wake the hell up, people.
Yes. And Andy is so talented. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Another wrestler that we have on the show is Simon Sermon.
I've heard of Simon. I have heard of Simon. I have.
Yes, the self-proclaimed queen of the ring, the exotic one, Simon Sermon. I am so excited to have him on the card. He is going, I'm so excited. I'm amped to have him as talent.
That's awesome. I don't want any more spoilers. You can't give any more out. You got to get people, as Ricky Morton would say, you have to get asses in seats, and it's free, people. So if your ass isn't in a seat, you're stupid.
It's so not good.
Yeah, so not good. You're being nice because you're representing the office right now, but I don't have to be. But yeah, don't be stupid. Head to Deep South this weekend and make sure you check them out. Vette, I'm going to open it up to you. I want you to spew whatever else you want to spew, and nicely. Yeah. Your socials, Deep South socials, merch, stuff like that. Just go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this show on Friday, March 4th, is actually RSVP. So the tickets are free. You don't have to pay anything for the tickets, but you do have to go online and RSVP your ticket. Our capacity is, set at a limit. And if we get close to that fire code, then we're only going to be allowed people in that have RSVP'd. We will no longer be able to take door walk-ins. So you can find that code on Deep South Wrestling's Instagram or their Facebook. Facebook I think is GADSW, but Instagram is deep_South_wrestling. And you can find the link to Mixed Deity, which is the studio that we're hosting the event in. You can find the link there and reserve your free free general admission tickets, but you can buy $5 BYOB wristbands. So it is a BYOB event. But in order for us to identify who is 21 and older, we are giving out wristbands for $5. Now $5 for one wristband, you can drink whatever you bring from home. Way better than spending $5 a beer. You're saving some money.
For sure, a lot of money.
And so you reserve your tickets online. You purchase your BYOB wristbands online. You can find all of that at mixdeity.com/DSW. And mixdeity is MIXDEITY, .com/DSW, like Deep South Wrestling. You can also find me on Facebook or Instagram. On Instagram, I am Vette, like the car, VETTE _Addams, like the family, ADDAMS.
There you go. Vette, like I said, we're gonna stay in contact. We're gonna set some more stuff up. Meaning the Martinezes are gonna make the trip down to Atlanta to hang out at Deep South, and you and Charlotte Flair, little Charlotte Flair at least.
Yes.
I've had a great time this afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you guys are listening to this. Thank you for opening up today. This is, again, you're an inspiration. Everything you've been through, things I didn't know prior, and this is the advocate you are, not only for the wrestling world, but for life. Because essentially, that you could have just said, all right, this is my life the rest of the time, and I'm going to watch The Price is Right. And you didn't.
And there are days that I do, and that's okay.
And it is okay.
The majority of the time, we got to just pick ourselves up and, do the next right thing.
Yeah, for sure. Vette, we'll do this again real soon, I'm sure.
Please.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, we'll have to do deeper dives in some of the topics we've hit today, because I feel like we could...
We skimmed.
We could really get into some of those conversations.
We could, and we will. We will for sure. And
Game on.
Game on. There. I don't need to say anything else. Game on. That I will tell you this right now. I love you, and I want everybody to hear this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate joining you, and I honestly just really enjoyed talking to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Vette Addams. This is going to be the most inspirational, the most heartfelt, the most amazing interview that I've had all year. We spent plenty of time after the podcast just chatting. We opened up to each other about anything and everything, and I know if I need anything in my life, I can call Vette Addams, and she's going to be right there. So, Vette, I know I told you a million times before we hung up with each other, but thank you. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to give you a hug because we're huggers. And I truly love you. Sharing some really tough things after we were on the podcast means a lot to me. I don't open up a lot, but you got it quickly. You broke into me quickly, and it's amazing. Guys, make sure to get back onto the podcast now, I guess. Make sure you follow Vette. Make sure you love and support her and Deep South Wrestling. If you're in Georgia Friday night and you're not RSVPing to go to the show, I don't know what's wrong with you. You need to go to this. You need to support it. You need to support indie wrestling. You need to support people like Vette Addams that are inspirational. The things that she's going to do, not only for the wrestling world, but for, the handicap community, the biker community that she's still going to work with, in the wrestling community. She is going to be somebody to watch, and I can't even get into Can Crusher mode because I'm more into the mode that me and Vette just talked afterwards, and it means so much to me. So, yeah. Guys, as we always say on the podcast, remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.